Okay, it's time to mount our new black nickel lights on the front of this fat boy. So in your kit, in the front light kit, you'll have the two brackets, left and right, about 10 little butt splicers. There's some extras for you. Then you'll have the small and the large heat shrink. We use the best heat shrink you can get. It has the adhesive on the inside of both of them. So once you heat shrink that on there, it's permanent and it's really nice stuff. Oh, and then of course you come with the two signal lights. And you use amber lenses on the front and red on the back because they are, in the back they're running and signals. So I think most of the laws state that they have to be red instead of amber in the back. If they were amber, if they were flashers only, they could be amber on the back. I've loosely mounted the lights to the brackets. Once you get this bracket on, you can't get the screw behind it on there once it's mounted to the bike. So you may want to mount them now so it's a little easier. So anyway, and then you can always do this at the bike too, no big deal. But this is the way they go. So it flares out so the light sits away from the fork. And then if you look at the back side, the light ends up to be on the back side of that bracket. This is the left side. So do the left side and the right side separate. Oh, one thing too, I pry these little caps off, the amber lenses. You just stick a screwdriver in that slot and twist it. It's angling toward the fork, so if you have to change the lens or the light bulb later, you won't be able to do it. So I put the slot to the bottom. That way when it's mounted to the bike, you just put the screwdriver to the bottom and pry it out. So do that. Leave these a little loose. You don't need to tighten these a lot. Just leave them loose. And then we'll stick them on the bike. Oh, see, these black brackets make things hard to see. That's why we did all the videos in the regular steel brackets. But anyway, if you'll notice here, I forgot to mention it. The bushing goes here against the light. And then you got the washer, lock washer, and nut, or screw. So washer, lock washer, and hex bolt, just like that. Okay, I've loosely mounted to the bracket and the lights to the forks. Now, to show you better, it's there again, the black parts are so hard to see. This is basically the way it looks like. This is a bare metal one. So it goes on the bike that way. So the tab to the back, it flares out so it clears the fork. And then what we do is we'll use the short screw on the bottom and the longer screw on the top. And then these are, there's a little bit of clearance there necessary to clear this fork here, this cover. It kind of sticks out. So if I tighten that up without a washer behind it, it's going to bend that bracket a little bit. So I include some extra washers on this bottom one so you can space that out just a little bit. What I did is just the normal washer on the hex bolt here, nothing behind the strap. Then on this one, we've got the hex bolt and then the regular washer, and then behind that I put a washer behind the strap so when I tightened it up it won't bend that bracket out. It needs just a little clearance there. You may even need two washers, that's why I give you two extra. So go ahead and mount those and leave everything just a little bit loose because we're not really certified Harley mechanics, so we're gonna have to take this headlight ring off to get the old wiring and stuff out. And I'm not sure if you tighten all this, if this will come out as easy as if they're loose or not. So I'm gonna leave them just a little bit loose. Okay, first thing when I'm gonna take this light apart, I'm gonna put a big old towel right here, just that if something falls or whatever, that always protects that fender. Now do me a favor and check and see if your headlight's this style or if they're a different style. I see Fat Boys both ways. I'm almost wondering if this is off a Road King. It's a special model or something that they came out with a bigger headlight. Well, I kind of like it. It's big and bulky, but I think the other headlight, the standard looking headlight, is kind of really similar. And the one thing nice about Harley is you can always go online and everybody has a video on how to do this stuff, how to take the bulb out and all that kind of stuff. So I'll go over this one with you. I think it should be similar. Okay, ours had this big ring around it, which I'm not sure I'm gonna run or not. I took it off and I kind of looks old school this way. So I don't know if I'm gonna run it or not, but anyway, this ring comes off. Basically what it is just a screw here. And it's a clamp, so the more you undo it, the more it'll spread apart. And then you can pull it off. Don't go too far, you might lose that little nut. Whatever you do, don't lose that nut. If you take it off feel it and make sure that doesn't pop off there. So I think you can loosen that, pry it open and pop it off. Okay, the next step is there's a screw right here. Just take that out. And then you pry this headlight ring off from the bottom. I've had mine off, so it comes off pretty easy. You may have to get something and pry it on the back a little bit. It comes off that way, and then it lifts up, and there's a little wire tab in there that goes into the slot on the headlight there, right there. So when you remount it, you'll see that. To remove this headlight from the bucket, there's 8 little screws with washers around here. There's 4 on each side. Don't take the ones off that hold the headlight into this ring here. You'll see them, they're just little small ones with washers, and that will let that thing slide off the bucket there. So I'll do the last one. These are little small number 6 screws with washers. And we're going to include some extras in your kit, because boy, you might want to drop with these and lose the washer or the screws. So we want to make sure everything's there ready to go back together. So we'll include some little extra screws in your kit. I hope that the standard other headlight uses the same screw. So anyway, take all 8 of those out, and then this whole unit will slide out like that. And you can go ahead and just set it on your towel. Okay, to remove these lights from the handlebars, you just unscrew this connector right here, and it will come off. And then you'll have the wire coming out of the headlight. I've already cut that off, but just go ahead and snip that wire off and just let it hang there, and then we're going to suck these down through that bucket and wire up the new lights. Okay, I'm going to do the throttle side first on the signal light here. That way we'll get that one out of the way, and then we'll do the next one. Okay, what I did is I pulled the signal light wire through. This is a signal light here. I pulled that through. Go up and into this housing as close as you can. Don't loop it around something. Go right in there as soon as you possibly can, up through the back and into the front. And then this is the wire coming from the bike. Now, the way I did it is this is the flat wire. I found that if you use scissors and kind of shove the scissor up through there, you can kind of get it started with scissors. Then you can peel that sheathing back. So go ahead and peel that back and expose the wires. I did about 1.5 inches, 2 inches on both of them. And then this is the wire coming from the signal light. And I found it easier on this one to just use a knife, kind of cut the sheathing a little bit lengthwise, and then you can kind of start peeling it back. So anyway, do it that way, and then you can cut this extra piece off both of them. That way you have the wires exposed. Okay, what I've done is I've pulled out about 6 inches of wire on each. You need enough room to work, so about 6 inches there and about 6 inches here. That's about how much you want to work with. Okay, what I did is I went ahead and stripped the ends. About 3/8 of an inch. I stripped the, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. Okay, about 3/8 of an inch. I trimmed the insulation off. That's the one coming from the bike, either one. And then this is the one coming from the signal light. I did the same thing. I stripped about 3/8 of an inch off, and I used the little butt splicers, put them on there, and then I gave them a good crimp. So those are basically ready to go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to join the two, but now pay real close attention to this because we want to make sure we slide these This is a small insulation of the heat shrink tubing, about 1.5 inches on each one, just enough to slide over them when we're finished. So these are the small, and then have that ready to go like that. And then on the other wire, make sure you got about a 2-inch piece of the large heat shrink. That way when you join them together, you can heat shrink it all, and I'll show you how that works. I might even pop a picture of that and put a picture in the kit just so we can clarify that. Okay, now before I heat this heat shrink up, be sure and slide that big piece way back as far as you can away from the heat. Because while you're doing this, if you get that heat hits the other piece of heat shrink, it'll shrink it up, and then you won't be able to slide it over there. So anyway, I've done these ahead of time, so they look like they're nice, and they've stuck to the wires really well. You'll actually see the adhesive kind of leak out of the ends there. Like I say, we use the best stuff money can buy on this stuff. So do those 3. Now let those cool for a minute before we do the big piece. Oh, while these are cooling too, I forgot to mention, yeah, just match up the colors. So blue to blue, black to black, and purple to purple. Now the purple on the bike is definitely a little more purple than the one coming out of the light. So make sure that the purple is purple and not blue when you hook up the purple wires. Make sure the light is really good, and then you'll be able to tell. Okay, I think it's about time to do the big piece. Now, before we put the big piece of the heat shrink over that and heat it up, let's just check our light real quick. Now, make sure you hold on to this wire that goes on the other side. This is the one from the other side. Hold on to that because you don't want to touch that on a piece of metal or it could short it out. So hold on to that, and we'll turn the the ignition on. Okay, there's the running light. And there's the flasher. It might flash weird for a minute until we get the rear lights hooked up, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and do the, turn that off. Let's go ahead and do the big heat shrink, and then we're ready to do the other side. Okay, I've already done that, and it looks really nice. It's just a nice sealed up connection, and everything should last forever. Let's go ahead and do the other side the same way. This is so cool. These lights work so nice. Let me show you. And yours should work just as well. Right, left. Headlight still working. Okay, now what we want to do, we want to wire tie these wires up inside here so that they don't hang down and get caught, especially in that the turning limiters. So wire tie the wires up. You know, you can tie them to the wires that are in there, the bigger wires, just so they, you know, nice tight radius here and they don't get loose. So do that, and then we'll go ahead and put the headlight back together. I'll show you how to spray some soapy water around that ring to get it to go on there. Okay, I screwed the headlight ring back on before I put the housing on. And then I sprayed some soapy water around this before I slid it on. It just made it go on so much easier. I couldn't get it on there without that. So spray that with some soapy water, slide that on, put the little screw in the bottom. And then let's snug all these screws up. And the ones back here that hold the signal light. Now do me a favor and just aim these level to the ground. I see guys that aim them up and down and crazy angles, but just you want them level to the ground, so the maximum visibility, and they'll also look a lot better. So there you have it. The front lights are finished.